Season 4, Episode 12 of the Vegans Who Lift podcast, brought to you by your favorite vegan hosts of all freaking time. We have Brooke Sellers, aka Miss Meatless Muscle, and myself, John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan. 4 seasons deep, wrapping up the finale. Brooke, how are you doing?
I cannot believe that we did 4 seasons in a whole year. I mean, that's insane.
I agree. Now, this is my first podcast that's ever been like produced, so I don't know how we came up with 12 episodes per season and how we did 4 seasons in 1 year. However, 4 seasons down, that is insane. I remember after season 1 I said I want to do 10. We're like already almost halfway there, but literally freaking year. We've put out some work. We have done some work. Pat on our back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we've had some really good guests too. Like people that when I first started on my journey, I really looked up to, like Robert Cheeke and Natalie Matthews. I never in a million years thought I would have Natalie Matthews on my podcast, but wow, like we've had so many good people and then some people who really don't have like a huge following, but they're just incredible athletes. We've just made some really awesome connections through this podcast.
I think I'm gonna say it. Ain't nobody else done it the way we have. You hit the nail on the head. Like we've had people on here that I've looked up to for decade, like over a decade, and I was gonna say decades, but maybe not decades, but over a decade. That's still a long time for me. That's a third of my existence, and we've brought forward a really good community of people listening to us. I think we've offered a lot of value, and I'm not just here just to like pat my own back and like be happy, but like I am proud of this. I think we've put out something that can change the world, that has changed the world. And what I will say too, I don't know if every podcaster feels like this, every host, but Brooke, I think every single person we've brought on has left feeling better about themselves. I
I hope so.
I genuinely believe it. Like we've gone deep into some people's lives, some of their traumatic experiences, some of their positive ones, but like pretty much kept it raw and real all year. And so,
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah, I love that. We had a mission when we first started and we wanted to have something different. Like we have given a lot of value, but we also just wanted it to be true to us. We wanted to have fun with it. You know, we wanted people to come on and it not feel like an interview. It's just like us hanging out, getting to know somebody. And I feel like we accomplished that. I feel like every episode was pretty fun and we stayed true to us. It didn't feel like a patchy interview style podcast. It was just very like raw, authentic. Some of the freestyle episodes are like my favorite ones.
100%. We still need to do one where we get high, but we might might lose some
I have
people there.
definitely done some of those, so I'm just I will let you guys figure out which ones.
Oh gosh. I can go either direction. If I get high, I can like not shut up like normal, but sometimes I'll shut up and listen. So
The quiet
yeah,
phase,
if I'm
that's what me and Steve call it.
well, if I'm ever silent, then y'all know that's a guaranteed one. I think too, yeah. I've been shocked. There's some people that I really didn't know them that much, like people that you knew and you've brought on. I'm like, oh my God, this person's cool. I want to hang out with them in real life. And then there's been other people. I can be a human that judges other humans. And I'm like, I don't know if I like this person. And by the end of the podcast, I'm like, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. So for me, it's been a transformative year. What what do we have in store for the people today, Brooke?
We are going to highlight our favorite moments from the Vegans Who Live podcast from 2024. So, me and John have both selected our favorite moments to share with you guys that either left some sort of an impact on us, it was some sort of awesome guest who just really blew us away with their knowledge or just their personality or some sort of insight they gave us. And we just want to make sure that we have a really awesome episode to wrap up the end of the year and highlight the best moments from Vegans Who Lived.
Yeah, we've never done this before. I figured now is as good of time as any before we get more than 4 seasons in. A little recap, a reminder for both myself and Brooke, and for everybody that's tuned in the whole year. You rock. And then if you're new to the podcast, this might be a good one to start with, just to kind of give you a little teaser of what's in store. But yeah, hopefully going to bring y'all some things. I mean, these are things that me and Brooke have hand selected ourselves, but hopefully things that you'll get some additional value, some good reminders out of, and some laughs and maybe some tears, and just all sorts of good things. So are we ready to send them their way, Brooke?
Yes. Yeah. Let's start with your favorite moment. One of your favorite moments.
All right, this one will be hard to top, I think, for very obvious reasons. So without further ado, here's one of my favorite moments on the podcast.
Hey there, I'm V, your plant-powered guide at Vegans Explore. I'm here to introduce some awesome clips for Brooke and John as we wrap up Season 4 of the Vegans Who Lift podcast. Ready to get pumped and inspired? Join Brooke and John as they dive deep with vegan bodybuilder Robert Cheeke. It's all about strength, mindset, and plant-based power. Let's lift.
She wasn't going to sell these animals that she raised from when they were born, And so she became vegan and decided to organize an animal rights week at our high school. At this point, I was a sophomore in high school, barely weighed over 100 pounds. I mean, I weighed 89 and a quarter pounds at the start of 8th grade, barely 100 pounds when I made the freshman basketball team. I think I was like 103 or 105. And at this point, I was about 120 pounds. And I decided I would participate in this Animal Rights Week just to support my sister. It was an experiment for a week. Like December 8th, 1995, I'm going to go give this thing a try. It was a Wednesday. I watched videos. This is like in the cafeteria or in the school auditorium, whenever we could arrange this at the high school. I watched videos of large-scale factory farming and animal testing. I listened to speakers talk about animal rights, if you will, about veganism, topics surrounding what you might fall under this category of animal rights. I read literature, black and white, like literally black and white pamphlets. Even the videos were black and white, many of them from PETA. They were made in the 80s, probably, or early 90s. And I had conversations with fellow classmates. And that's really what was the catalyst to what started as 1 week to now, help me with the math, something like 1,400 weeks, 28 years later. I'm in my 29th year as a vegan. I wondered if I would stick with it. I struggled at first, to be honest. The first couple of weeks, I didn't know what the heck to eat. I didn't have my own money. I was in high school. I was just eating cafeteria food that did not include animal products. My calorie intake was super low. I was a 5-sport athlete. Even though I was small, I was fast. I was a runner, soccer player, track and field, where I did track and field track and field events. Even as a small guy, threw shot put, discus, javelin, the whole thing, long jump, hurdles, sprinting, 3,000 meters, did it all. I wrestled when I didn't make the basketball team, after my freshman year. Played tennis, rode my bike, and started doing push-ups and sit-ups, getting into this whole fitness lifestyle. And, eventually put on a little bit of muscle, became a better athlete. I was on the #1 ranked soccer team in the state of Oregon in high school. I even started on the varsity team as a vegan, but I quit because I didn't really fit in with the players. And so I ran on the #2 cross country team in the state of Oregon. A lot of elite athletes who went on to be Division I runners, who went on to run with Olympic athletes. Like, I came from a very athletic background with my school. Many of my soccer teammates went on to play pro soccer, for example. One of the guys from our school went on to be the highest paid player on the Marlins for a period of time, playing pro baseball, all that kind of stuff. And then I went on to run cross country at Oregon State University for their club team. And that is when I discovered the sport of bodybuilding. I was a cross country runner at the university level. I was obviously very lean, very fast, very thin. And then childhood friend I bumped into at a grocery store after we'd both kind of gone off to college for a year and met up in our hometown, had these muscle magazines, Flex magazine. And I was like, I didn't even want to look at the cover, all these big veins and all this stuff. But then all of a sudden I got into it. I flew out for my 21st birthday. I met Arnold Schwarzenegger at the Arnold Classic. Back then you could get VIP tickets and get a Polaroid photo with him. I did that on my 21st birthday. I met Jay Cutler at the airport. We've been friends for over 2 decades now, ever since. I texted him on Christmas. He texted me back on Christmas. I saw Ronnie Coleman in the best shape he's ever been in his entire life, which was the 2001 Arnold Classic, 3 years into his Olympia. Everyone agrees that was the best shape. I was up front as a VIP, watched him. And then I started competing. That year, I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I did it for a decade, and won a couple shows, runner-up 4 times, built the website that you both stumbled upon 22 years ago. And here we are. And here we are where, the torch has been passed many times. And I'm proud to see people like the two of you, John and Brooke, running with it, where I kind of step back a little bit these days, write books, and do my thing outside of the bodybuilding stage.
That's amazing. Amazing story. I think we both can only hope that we'll be able to say the same thing in a few decades. It's incredible. I think for me, what's crazy about your story is you have an agricultural background. And you find, me and John, we've had arguments with people who come from the agricultural industry, and I'm sure, John, you remember, where they're like, well, I grew up on a farm and we took care of the animals and we did this and we did that, and it's kind of like an argument against veganism. But you've got like all this ammo because you did grow up in the agricultural industry, and you guys didn't, it sounds like you guys didn't treat the animals terrible, but you still found veganism because it was still taking the life of a being, whether they're happy-go-lucky running around or not.
Here's the thing, Brooke. And this is one of the hardest parts, and I try not to get emotional talking about it. I almost did. I might have to blow my nose here in a moment. When I was talking about my sister first becoming vegan, about that interaction with the chickens at the auction. So the hardest part for me is that, I spent over 20 years on a farm. Even when I moved out at age 18, I came back, ran out of money, came back, even when I was 20, mid-20s, I was living back at home, saving some money. When I was first dating Karen before we eventually got engaged and married, I lived at home for a year on the farm again. I was out there a few weeks ago, cows all over the field, I just say, kind of say to them, sorry, I for what your fate's going to be. But Brooke, the hardest part was, we treated the animals well. We were a small farming operation. There was a functional dairy right next door where they had like a dead pile of cows and all this kind of stuff. And there was another dairy about a mile away. So there were 2 functional dairies nearby. But we had a small 20-acre family farm operation, largely hobby farm to raise animals and just sell them at the local 4-H auction. But that's the hardest part, is that you raise an animal. I had 2 dairy calves, for example, that I raised and sold. You raise them from when they're born, essentially, and they build that trust with you. They follow you around like a puppy. And then you say, you know what? I'm done with you, and now you're going to be somebody's food. That's the hard part, and that's what as a teenager helped me stick with it. When I wasn't eating the best, I wasn't eating, I was eating bagels and bread rolls and not a lot of healthy stuff. But it was like, I just can't break that trust, like that's devastating. And that's the hard part. And so, I've been there, I've been there from the farming background. I know what that's like. I've been surrounded by that community. And I've also been to, more animal sanctuaries than I can count. I've got one nearby here, actually a few nearby. And I see another side of things, and I've seen people like myself and my sister and my brother and other friends change and totally come with a different mentality, psychological approach than we had when we saw animals as commodities and a way to profit off them. And I don't know if that gives me, I don't know if that gives me anything, credibility. It gives me perspective, I think, where, not a lot of us grew up on farms. I mean, especially those who are a little bit younger. I'm almost 44 in a couple of days here, but those of us who are a little bit younger, there's just not as many farms as there used to be.
Up next, it's Giacomo Marchese, the all-natural bodybuilder they call Muscles by Brussels. Brooke and John are bringing the energy. Let's jump in.
You had mentioned wanting to get your father on a more plant-based diet. What was that in, if you mind going into detail, more in relation to? Was it a certain health condition or?
By the time he was diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma, I believe it was already at stage 3, kidney cancer. And he lived with it for 15 years. And he chose that I'm going to live and I'm going to have Western medicine patch me up and keep me going approach. And it didn't serve him. I mean, he lived way longer than he should have. When a doctor says, get your affairs in order, and it's 15 years have passed and you're still here, like, what a blessing. But like, he lived a life in an incredible amount of pain. And who's to say if he could have reversed it or not, but I'll never know. So, you don't want to see your parent sick, and you don't want to lose your parent. And when both of those things happen and you look back and you think to yourself, like, well, everything I did for myself to like lead by example was useless as far as what was probably like your main driving, that's kind of sad. The world still feels pretty empty without him, honestly. This weekend in particular was hard, and it's already been like 4 or 5 months, and I just, I can't even get to bed sometimes, honestly. I literally cannot get into bed because just the idea of like, it's lights out where I usually sleep reminds me of loss and death. So it was really hard to lose him, and I really hoped for more, and it didn't happen. So it just goes to show, no matter what control you think you have, and no matter what kind of influence you think you have, and no matter how much of a leadership role you take in changing and helping to change other people's lives, that you can't make anyone do anything. And that's why I changed like what I've been saying for many years on the saying leading by example to be an example, because that is literally the one thing that you have complete control over, and you can only hope that it helps others, and to obviously be a resource and be open-minded and listen and meet people where they're at. Like, it's easier said than done. Like, you're eager, you want to help people, but sometimes that could actually be the absolute wrong approach, and people, whatever. I mean, people, how do I say, are going to do what they're going to do.
Well, a lot to unpack there. I don't think it's fair for you to place blame on yourself, because you presented the information. You did everything you could by being an example, and you can't force anyone else, short of doing something that would get you arrested. Like, you can't force somebody not to eat certain things. I know, I've tried myself, and I'm excited to see Robert's book, The Impactful Vegan, because I think it's going to give myself and anyone else in our position ways to be more effective with our activism. You'll never know your true impact. You'll never know, because for every person that messages you on Instagram saying, thank you, I'm going to try plant-based, or thank you, I got so-and-so to do this, or thank you, so somebody showed me your page, I'm going to try this. Every one that sends you that, there's probably 10, 20, 30 that are doing it behind the scenes and just won't say anything to you. You've pioneered this for so many people, and it's sad that someone so close to you couldn't see that influence, but your influence extends extremely far and wide. I feel I can somewhat relate to you. My dad last year was diagnosed with cancer, and he died 37 days later. And I remember visiting him at the hospital, seeing the food that they were giving him, and thinking, if he can get home, I'll meal prep for him. I will sit him aside. I will get him on whole foods, plant-based, because his best case scenario was 2 to 5 years. He ended up having a stroke. So like, he didn't hit the best case. He had an additional issue. But outside of the animals, I think all of us sitting here right now are fully vegan for the animals. But in this case, it was selfish. I wanted to keep him around a little bit longer and be like, this is something you can do. I just even had a client reach out. She's in remission and she's not vegan. And I said, look, I'm not trying to push ethics or morals on you, but for yourself, you should really look into this. You should look into going plant-based, at least as plant-based as possible. If you're going to go out for a meal, that's your own ethical choice. But for when you're at home, when you're meal prepping, do these things. So anyways, I didn't mean to turn that back on me, but you mentioned that, and I was like, I have to ask either on air or off air because I want to connect on this, and I feel like it's something you and I can now bond over. And it is hard. It's like it's like you have the key to fixing things, but people don't want to take it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to use it. And it's like, look, dude, I'm not even trying to do anything for me. I'm trying to help you, and you can only help those that want to be helped. That's what it comes down to. I think that's the hardest part of being a coach too.
Yeah, we deal with that a lot with coaching. It's so hard when it's your own family, though. It's so much different because it's like, man, you have to know I'm coming from a place of love. That's like my grandparents. My grandparents absolutely love my grandparents. They practically raised me, and they had terrible heart issues, terrible. My grandmother ended up dying from a stroke, and my grandfather, he had what was called a widow's maker heart attack, where it's like all three of your arteries are clogged. And at one point they were very excited for me to like come down there, and I cleaned out all of their animal products, and like we stocked up their fridge and their pantry with healthy foods and like oats and tons of plant-based stuff. But then, within a few weeks they were like back to their old ways, and they're just like, we're old, like what are we supposed to do? Like, it's just, we're just stuck in our ways, and we like what we like. And so it's like you just have to make peace with the fact that you did your best, you tried your best, and ultimately, if that's the choice that makes them happy, it is what it is. They were enjoying their bacon and their food, and they died that way. So, at least I tried my best. Yeah. It's all you can do sometimes.
Oh gosh, we are gonna have to change. That's on me. I brought us down this path, but I wanted to dig deeper.
Not on the schedule.
Thank you for sharing, brother. It's not easy. Let's maybe talk about something happier, body dysmorphia, and why you got into bodybuilding to gain confidence in your life. Because I think we all come from that. Let's maybe talk more about the confidence aspect, because I feel like when I speak to you, when I met you at the Arnold in Ohio, there was Arnold, and you were there. You seem very confident there. You seem very sure of yourself. You know your stuff. You've been doing this for dang near half your life, if not more. What drew you into bodybuilding? I know you said for sports, but like specifically for you, like, were you already conscious of how your body looked, or did you just want to get stronger? Like, I'm just going to let you tell me.
Sure. Well, my first thought was I wanted to make the tennis team. My second thought is that I wanted girls to notice me. My third thought was that I did not want to be a target for bullying. And then as I got really into it, I realized that bodybuilding was safe because it was me and it was the weights and and that was all that mattered. And as my body changed, I realized that I could do whatever I wanted with it. And I could help others do the same, and I could keep going. So as I got more and more into it, it rewarded me more and more with the idea of getting stronger and being able to change the way that I looked. And that helped me feel confident in my body and in my own skin. As far as what you need to do with your environment and your lifestyle and your eating habits and your discipline, that's an entirely different story. That's challenging and tricky. And honestly, bodybuilding you wind up eventually like with like a magnifying glass on 100 times power, looking at yourself from head to toe when you take this to that level. So that's a little tricky, but once you get past how weird and awkward that could be, it's actually kind of cool.
Up next, Sean Russell, founder of Vegans Explore and executive producer of Vegans Who Lift. Brooke and John sit down with the guy behind the scenes. Let's get into it.
I think I could like sit down and rest after that's done for a little bit. I don't know if that'll happen in my lifetime. I hope it does. But for me, at least, success will be working towards that every day until it does happen. And hearing about, correct me if I'm wrong, Susan Hargreaves. I've been vegan 18 years, more than half my life. The life of a legal adult. And if I relived all of that again, I'm still 4 years behind her. I'm hearing, even in this episode, we got a long way to go. But with the right people and the right mindset, it's not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like the world's changing. I mean, plant-based is bigger than ever. And I feel like now, and especially I'm excited to read Robert's book, which comes out next month, I think, right?
Gosh, it's flying by. Yeah, June.
Or June. It comes out in June. I'm already in May. Wow, no, in 2 months. But yeah, because I feel like there's so many different ways to reach people now. Like Sean, like me and Sean, like I really relate to you because I did go vegan for health too. So that was initially what got my attention because I come from a family of like diabetes, hypertension, heart attacks, strokes, like you name it. And then the animals is what kept me vegan. So there's all these different ways we can reach people now. And like for you, you're helping people find success. So these people can still continue to, like you said, be financially stable because that's huge. Because if a vegan business closes, how many people does that really impact down the line? A ton. So you're providing so much value for like future generations just by helping people figure out how can I be financially stable and, you know, create income for myself and stay open, which is so important. Especially COVID. I feel like COVID hit. I know in Atlanta here, we had some really big vegan restaurants shut down, and it was so sad.
And I would say the reality too, it kind of is going along those lines of why it's important to go out there and support vegan establishments. It's getting rough out there, and I feel like one of the gifts that has come from doing Vegans Explore is to see how the vegan communities are doing in other parts of the country, being tapped into that. And it's easy just to look at your own backyard and be like, wow, businesses are closing, or they're shutting down. I'm hearing a new one shutting down pretty much every other week. But normally it's like for every 2 that shut down, there's 1 that opens. And I don't see that happening. And I feel like it's a canary in a coal mine of there's something happening. And I feel like you could look at that as doom and gloom. You could look at that as what are we going to do? But once again, that positive mind shift is what is the opportunity? What is the gift from this? And that's not always easy to do. But it's a good indicator of where you are. If you could find a gift in tough situations and it sounds and it feels authentic, that means you're on the right track. And for me, the gift is I get to step up. I get to figure out how to make Vegans Explore economically sustainable so that way we can impact millions of lives. We can support thousands of nonprofits. We can support thousands of local family-run businesses. And that's going to then plant that seed and allow the whole community to grow, for people to then find their purpose in stepping into the Explorer program and to stepping into one of these paid positions, from being the leader in their community. Because community is at the heart of everything. Everything goes in cycles. The reason that we are going into this digital age that we're in right now, where everybody's on their phones and people aren't really connecting in person as much as they used to, is because eventually we're going to get tired of that. And we're going to crave community again. We're going to crave being out with people. And guess what? As the people who can leverage both of those worlds, the digital and the in-person world, that are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And I feel like Vegans Explore is a platform for those leaders to find themselves. And I honestly wouldn't have gotten here. I mean, I probably would have gotten here eventually, but the same way that, me helping this podcast help you guys get to the podcast quicker, me being able to support you guys, not even just with the podcast, because there's a lot of stuff we do behind the scenes. It's helped me realize what's possible and how to scale that out to be able to help as many people as I can. So gratitude to the both of you for coming into my lives when you did. Because when you came into my life, speaking of things happening for you, the genesis of how we came together was probably one of the roughest experiences of my life. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but now I'm seeing the reason it was the roughest experience of my life is probably because it was the biggest growth spurt of my life. And that pain I was feeling was because I was leveling the F up. And now I'm in a position, and I know why now. Now I'm back in the saddle, doing what I love, working with the children, and I'm getting ready to take this last 7 years of SoFlo Vegans and level that up into something that the world has never seen before.
Hell yeah.
Epic.
You just have such the right mindset. I'm gonna have to pick your brain off the podcast about what you were going through, but you being able to channel that pain into growth, it's so powerful. Like, I hope anybody listening to this can do that. If they're in what feels like a painful spot, embrace that. Don't cover it up with drugs. Don't cover it up with alcohol. Sit there and feel it. Brooke asked me, I think, on one of our questions here, like, if you could only keep one memory, what would it be? And it'd be, for me, it might sound silly to some people, but the breakup I went through in 2022 is the hardest part of my personal journey. And that's what I would hold on to, because that's made me who I am today. If I didn't have that pain, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And it's not pain like, oh, I hate this person, or pain like, oh, it's so negative. Like, it's like, I needed that. I needed to feel that to spring me into where I'm now. And so whatever you were going through in September, October of last year, look at where we're at now. And we're just getting started. I got a couple more questions on our list, Brooke, that I'd love to hear from Sean, and then I have an exercise. What's been your favorite part of the Vegans Who Live podcast so far?
The favorite part of the Vegans Who Live podcast. Oh my goodness. I would say, it sounds cheesy and hokey, but just the two of you, just to watch you guys, the friendship between the two of you. Like, I love that. I love it. It's so refreshing, because I know I see you guys behind the scenes. And let me just say, everyone watching, listening, it's not a show. It's literally, turn this off and we're talking about like next episode. It's the same. It's the podcast still. This is authentic. And yeah, because I think another piece of it, because I feel like I'm getting to know you too. Being able to play a small part and helping the world see that as well that's actually my favorite part. It's being able to play a small role in showing, not just because both of you, obviously, you have amazing, presences on your own, right? But just being able to play a role in bringing you together and creating and showing the dynamic of the two of you together. That's my favorite part.
Oh, I love that. I was not expecting that, but that's very good. I love that.
Our relationship is interesting. Like, we are definitely best friends, and we're also somewhat in a unique spot in this industry to be the coaches that we are with the people we work with. It's interesting. We at least have two husbands and wife teams now, where one works with one of us and one works with the other. And even today, I had a really difficult client question, like an ethics question, like, should I charge this person or should I not? I didn't know who else to ask, so I sent it to Brooke, and she gave me the perfect answer. She gave me the answer. It was already in my head. Like, I think I knew the right thing, but I wanted to hear it from somebody I trusted. So I trust her as a friend. I trust her as a business partner.
I just love you, dude. I'm so grateful that we have this. It's very special.
Aw, me too. I know it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I knew it would be great. I knew we would have so much fun doing it. I knew that. Like I knew we would get on and just shoot the shit like we do when we call each other, and like we can be on the phone for like an hour just, saying whatever, talking about our day, talking about our clients, social media, some crazy person we saw. So like I knew all that, but it's just even so much better than I imagined it. And I think Sean was like the perfect, tie to bring it all together. I feel like all three of us, we just work really well together.
Next, we hear from Tommy Jessen, sharing how a vegan diet transformed his life and physique. Brooke and John dig into this inspiring journey.
I was like, let's say the truth, right? Authenticity is the best vibration out there. So I was like, this is what happened. Literally, something explode in my butt, and it's super funny. I have the note; it's like super hilarious. So yeah, so I started reading the Chinese study that, as you said, John, is kind of like the most comprehensive meta study in the world regarding nutrition, right? So I pretty much read it all in 1.5 months. All my stayed in New York City. I was in New York City, in LA, and Lake Tahoe as well. So, and for me, it was like, I didn't even like to read at the time, right? So it was so interesting that I was like, I'm sold. This is the part. I feel great. I'm more energetic, right? I feel, I don't know, I felt great. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm already sold, but I had to study everything. I was starting to get a little bit OCD in terms of nutrition, macros, micronutrients. So yeah, I started to go full in with that, but I was plant-based, right? I didn't care about the animal. Like I didn't care at first, but because if you go deep in the rabbit hole, you start to understand that it's the both things, right? It's pretty much the same thing. If you are doing this, like all the benefit, I was researching the benefits about having less chronic diseases, feeling good, the hair, the skin, the nails, pretty much everything, the body recomposition, everything was great. And the other benefits was like, hey, you're helping the world, right? And I was like, how, why? And I stopped on one documentary that made me cry my balls out. Sorry for my French, but I was like, that's pretty much it for me. I'm already sold as well. I'm vegan. Like 1-2 months later, and that was it. I'm vegan.
What documentary was it?
Yeah, what documentary?
Oh, I was Dominion.
Oh, that is the worst one. That one is awful. I didn't even make it through that one. But like you, I transitioned for health reasons first. I came across all the data that you did, and then for me, and like I was also like you, where I was trying to work out, trying to be healthy. So when I stumbled upon all of the science and data, that's really what pulled me in. And then like you, I went down the rabbit hole, and that's when I stumbled across the slaughterhouse footage and what was actually going on behind the scenes. And then so yeah, I'm the same way. And that's why I feel like it's so important that as a community, vegans don't out people just because they transition for health reasons. I see a lot of people online give people shit for being, kind of like a health conscious, like a health focused vegan. But I feel like those people matter too, because just like them, I was there at one point, and then I stumbled upon the footage and what was going on with the animals. And then that is definitely like what sold me for life. So I feel like having because that's just something that for a lot of people, I think strikes a chord, is their own health. A lot of people take that more seriously than like the environment or the animals, sadly. But I think once people start to care about themselves and they care about their health, they're more likely to care about animals and the planet too. It all comes together,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I think
100%.
I think plant-based is like the gateway drug to vegan.
Exactly.
I went vegetarian at 10 and vegan at 13 for ethical reasons.
It was even before I started lifting. And like Robert Cheeke said it the best. He's like, I didn't know what to eat. I just knew what I wasn't going to eat. So I didn't have the nutritional background. Like you already knew how to track macros and like what foods had what. So you had a leg up there. But I think, again, like Brooke said, it's a journey to becoming vegan. Like almost no one just goes vegan overnight. Even if you watch Dominion and then you go vegan the next day, you had to be in the right headspace to get to the point to even watch Dominion. So it's a journey. But I think, if you go plant-based and like yourself, if you got giant hemorrhoids and you're uncomfortable or you have health conditions, you're probably not thinking, hey, I want to go save the world and save these animals. You're probably like, I need to get this fixed now. So I think when people go plant-based and they start to feel better, when you start to feel better, you want other people to feel better. You want the planet to feel better, animals to feel better. And like you said, like, I think a lot of people that get stuck in other diets, like the carnivore diet, like maybe it helps them lose weight and they justify like, well, I need to do this diet to lose weight and yeah, kill some animals, but it's not the end of the world, except it is. And in your case, it's the other way around. Like you're almost just the same way that doctor and the hemorrhoids and the trip all align for you and the book being there. This is just, I feel like I just like for the minute before we got on this, just hearing your voice and how you speak and carry yourself, I can just see how this aligns with everything else that you're trying to do. And now look at you, you're an online coach, you help other people, you're making the world a better place. And so it's really cool to just see this journey unfold.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I have to agree with both of you guys. Even the keyboard warriors, right? That they're like super annoying, and they're all important. I know that sometimes we do have to do an extra work, but if they start to first thing first, right, work on themselves. So if they become this 2.0 version of them, they're going to start to see more things, right? See more things. And when you start to see more things, you're going to start to realize that, hey, I have documentaries like these. I have like, I love my life now. So I appreciate life now. So I appreciate all forms of life now. It's kind of like an awakening. Yeah. And it's, as you said, John, it's kind of like in stages. For me, it was like from one day to another, plant-based, and then from one day to another, vegan. But I might be like 1 or 2% of the whole vegan community that have made this type of transition. And your story is pretty much amazing. 13 years old, you didn't have anything, right, back then, like knowledge in terms of nutrition.
No knowledge. Like I knew how to count calories. I remember like looking at a glass of apple juice and it was like 120 calories, and I had a textbook that told me it'd take you like 45 minutes on a bike to work that. So I'd like ride my little bicycle for 45 minutes and come back and drink another glass. Like I had no clue what I was 13, but or that might have even been younger than that. But yeah, I mean, like for me, I went fishing with my dad when I was 4. I didn't want to kill the fish. I went hunting at 9. I didn't want to like shoot any animals. So I was going to shoot in the dirt. We just didn't see any. At 10, I went vegetarian, but it took me a while. I cut out different animals for a while. Then when I found out about vegan, that was overnight, and I thought that was it. But really, it's not. Like being vegan, in my eyes, is the bare minimum. And if that's all you are, if you're a closeted vegan, you don't ever tell anybody, you don't ever do any form of activism, you're not really changing the world. You're just not hurting it. And so for me, there was still more to unlock. Like the vegan head tattoo we mentioned earlier. I don't go anywhere without like a vegan shirt now because people stop me and ask. And I think if every vegan, every time they went out, was wearing a vegan shirt, we'd, 1, make a lot more vegan friends, and 2, it would be out there a lot more, and we'd change perceptions. Because I would look at you, tattoos, hair, all this, like I wouldn't just assume vegan. And even as a vegan, like I literally ran into one of the CrossFit competitors at the Tampa Fit Fest, and he didn't have his vegan outfit on. And I'm like looking at this guy covered in tattoos. I was like, I wonder what he thinks about me. I wonder if he dislikes me because I'm vegan. Turns out he's vegan too, right? Even in my own head. So it's like, it's stages. And so I think we, at the core, at the vegan core, it's not just about you. It's just how can we impact the world? And, we're all influencers. We'll call it what we are. We do have some influence here. And I think it's important that now that we're at this spot in our journey, we get other people to be vocal about it too. So I don't know where I was going with all this.
All
Brooke saved me
beautiful
here.
things, man. All beautiful things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you had a really animal dense diet before you went plant-based, like a lot of meat. And you were really focused on bulking up, putting on some muscle mass. So you decided, all right, I'm going to be in plant-based. This is what's important to me. How did you adapt your plant-based diet with this newfound knowledge that you have to your fitness diet? Because I think that's what a lot of people get hung up on, like especially when I talk to potential clients, like that's always where they kind of get caught, because they're like, well, I know to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice, but like, how do I do that as a vegan? So for you, what was that transition like?
yeah, that's a really good question. That's where our jobs shine, right? So when I started, obviously I had some knowledge. I tried to just replace animal protein with plant-based protein, and that was pretty much it. And then because I was already vegan, I was like, that's it. I'm vegan till the day I die. That's it. So what I can learn about this, I have to keep on experimenting like I was doing back then. So I went raw vegan, I went keto vegan, I went 100% cook. I went like every single thing that you can possibly imagine being vegan, right? Just to test it out. And of course, the first 6 months to a year were a little bit funky, to say the least, in terms of my results, my physique, how I was feeling. I was feeling much more better than before, but I don't know, I encountered like one annoying injury. There was like my left shoulder, but because I didn't have the 3 pillars, I didn't master the 3 pillars back then. That it was like I run everything nowadays, not only for my client but for myself, because I lead by example, as you guys do, right? Everything is about training, not exercise. Training for a purpose, nutrition to nurture our whole body, soul, mind, everything. And the other thing, and the key, is the freaking mindset. My mind was F, right? I was about to drop the F bomb, but my mind was like that, right?
You can say fuck on here if you want.
Okay, yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Completely and utterly fucked.
Wow, guys, these have been some great episodes, huh? Like the Vegans Who Live podcast is just so good. And all of these people that we've had on have had amazing things to say about stuff. We're about midway through the episode. And yeah, we just wanted to pop back in and say hello. Like, we're still here. We're listening. We're with y'all.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love some of these moments. It is just like taking me back to when we were right there. We were in front of our laptops talking to this person. Oh my gosh. I love it. I have to share some of my favorite moments too. So without further ado, here's one of my favorite moments from our podcast.
Let's switch it up. Brooke and John get real about relationships and the vegan lifestyle. This one's all heart. Let's dive in.
I know for me, I was very scared to know what life was going to be like without him, even though my life was an absolute hell. Like literally every day was just, I don't know what today's going to be like. Might be a good day, might be a bad day. And I know some people think, oh, well, there's good times, but it's like you said earlier, like if the majority of the time is you guys fighting and you're having to sacrifice your life and who you are to be with this person, it's not right. Like the good times don't matter. And the bad times are far outweigh the good times. Like it should be, the majority of the relationship should be good times. And so I really hope maybe this hits home. I know that there's going to be people listening going through this, because it's far too common. And so I hope this hits home for people, and this is your sign to save yourself. And I promise you, life will be better. It's scary to do something new and to put yourself out there, and you think you're going to be alone, but like, I promise you, you will survive, and your life is going to be so much better, and you're going to grow. Like I had the best year of my life when I left, and I was terrified. I was terrified, and not that the first, like, month or so was hard, but then eventually it started sinking in, like, "Holy shit, I can do whatever I wanna do." Like, I
Yeah.
can I can do a bodybuilding show, like, I can go to Tulum with my friend, like, I can hire a coach. Like, I couldn't even hire a coach. I couldn't have a male coach, like, all this stuff. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy, and I lived my life to the absolute fullest. God, it makes me wanna cry, like, when I think about it. Like, I went to the Olympia that year and did the fashion show, and I got my life back. Like, I totally just left all that shit behind me. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just hope a woman listening, you should just know, like, it gets better. It will get better, and you can make your life whatever you want it to be. You don't have to settle for that. Like, it will get better. And, like, just like you, like, if you had stayed in that relationship, we wouldn't even be friends.
No, I wouldn't have been allowed to be friends with you. It's
You and look at you, like, you're on top of the world now, like, you are, inspiring so many people, you are coaching, and you meet all of these incredible people, you're at this awesome gym, like, your life is just so full, and you have all these amazing people in your life, and I'm sure at one point you left you were thinking, like, "What is my life gonna be like without this person? How am I gonna make it through this?" And, like, you're 1,000 times better off than you thought you would have been, so I just hope somebody listening knows, like, it will get better. You just have to take charge of your life and make it happen, but it's so worth it. So worth it.
yeah. I, Brooke, you're inspirational. You
Oh,
helped me through a lot. I could look up to you at that time because that was around the time that we got to know each other. I remember the
yeah.
Tulum trip. We had talked on Instagram a little bit before that, but like that's when we really started to connect and become friends. And you inspired the hell out of me. Like, guys, my coaching wouldn't be where it's at if it wasn't for Brooke. If I didn't see what she was doing and realizing like, oh, it's like that's possible. Like it's kind of like when you go to the gym and it's the first time you're there and it's like the little gym that has 100-pound dumbbells. And then you go to like a big boy gym and you see 150s, you're like, holy shit, I didn't even know that was a thing. And then that's Brooke. That's Brooke for me. I remember your numbers. I remember your numbers from then, and I'm close to them now. And that's, I don't know what, almost 2 years, but like I saw that it could be done, and that's what I started working towards. And yeah, so if you love yourself and you get out of that abusive relationship, it's for you, but it's also for every other person you're going to interact with the rest of your life. If Brooke
Yes.
hadn't left that, she couldn't help me on my journey. She couldn't be out here inspiring probably tens of thousands of women to do what's right for them. Convincing other people to go vegan, like it's just like you have to love yourself. And so I think we both went through a very, very similar experience here with the abuse and the trauma and some of the fallout and then working on ourselves after it, which is actually funny because yeah, I started my prep right after that I was going to do it anyways. I think I actually do remember thinking to myself, there's no way I could prep in that household. It was
Yeah.
too up and down abusive, like all like unstable. Like my sleep was off. My shit. Yeah, I'm gonna keep some of these stories to myself.
Yeah.
There were just some things that happened that should not have happened. I kind of I want to talk on my other relationships because I did fall into some pitfalls. So back to Tinder. My Tinder sent me a notification. It was gonna be like my account was gonna be deleted after that relationship. Now I had not been on the account. I had deleted the app, but somehow I got an email and I hopped back on, not really sure what the hell I was doing. And I met my next relationship about 5 weeks later. Now everybody's like, oh, you needed time to heal and like all this stuff. And I was still in therapy. I was actually still in therapy for that abusive relationship going into this next one, for a number of months until I realized in therapy we were actually talking about being bullied and stuff as a kid more than anything else. But I think what happened was after going through that abuse, I was still looking for like a life partner. That was always like a goal of mine. I had a cousin. I still have a cousin. Him and his wife got married very young. They had a kid like while they're in high school. They're still together, and that was always my idol. Like I want my wife. I want my partner. I want to be just like my cousin and just grow up like that. And I met my next relationship, and I thought that that's where it was going. And we started working towards that. And Brooke and I had talked off air about this. Um, I have recently heard of the term trauma bonding, and the woman I was with, she had just come out of an abusive relationship as well. Um, and so I think we bonded over that, and maybe in an unhealthy manner. We became inseparable. We spent every single day together until she moved, and we did long distance. But we still, even with long distance, we're on the phone 2 to 3 hours a day. Like we were always making time for each other and planning our future, planning kids, planning a house. Like my whole identity became this woman. And I told her from like the first weekend, I will always put your interests above my own. And that's where I fucked up. I started putting myself in a cage to be willing to be the type of person that she wanted. And she did the same for me. It wasn't toxic in the sense that we hurt each other. I think we healed each other a lot. I think we're both better off for meeting each other. She's the one that put "have the best day ever" into my life. I got this tattooed after, but I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want to lose that lesson. I have a way of saying it. Like I used to think she was put here to make me happy. I'm realizing she was here on my journey to teach me how to be happy. And it wasn't just her, it was enjoying life, enjoying the day, enjoying the moment, being present. And so when she broke up with me, that was a way harder breakup than me leaving abuse. Because I'm not gonna say it's easy to leave your abuser. It's not. It was probably one of the hardest decisions I ever made, but it was a decision I made. When someone else did it to me, that was hard to come out from. That was the lowest point I'd ever been in my life. That was probably the closest I'd ever considered suicide. I literally felt like overnight I had no clue where I was going or what I was doing. But guys, I'll tell you, probably the best thing that ever happened to me. So if you're going through a breakup right now, you have no clue what's on the other side. This tattooed, it's in my best friend's handwriting. I didn't meet her until after that breakup. Like I wouldn't have Alyssa in my life if I had stayed in that relationship. So you never know who or what is right around the corner.
Ashley King shares how she overcame addiction and built strength as a vegan fitness coach. Brooke and John dive into her inspiring journey. Let's check it out.
I did see that you said, and you mentioned earlier that you are a sober mom of 3. So I was just wondering, kind of what was your story there, and what changed in your life that made you decide that you wanted to be completely sober, and what that means to you.
So I'm 100% sober. I'm not California sober. No offense to anyone else, because everyone has their own journey. But yeah, I was 22 years old when I stopped. That was a lot longer, far away ago than you guys, because you guys are younger than me. But it was before I had children. I had my first kid at 25, but when I was 22, I was really focused in high school. I didn't drink or party. And then right after high school, I had 2 years of just too much alcohol. I was cognizant that I have alcoholism on both sides of my family. Obviously, at that age, I didn't really have a support group, or people didn't view it as she needs help. It was all on me because I just looked like, the teenager or the 20-year-old that was just screwing up. So I had to be my own support there. But the biggest, I guess my low point was I just wasn't happy. And I was always such a positive, happy. I was the outgoing little social butterfly at all times. And I just wasn't happy. I didn't understand depression either. So, and I felt like everyone in my world was let down by me. I didn't have like a huge low point, but it just hit me. And I was like, okay, what's the X factor? Why am I so depressed and unhappy? What has changed? Well, it's the alcohol. Once you figure that out, then you got to figure out how to stop. So I was also 20 years old, so I wanted to go out and still have fun and dance and party, so like quote unquote, because I wasn't going to drink anymore. So it took a good 6 months. I just completely closed off everyone, which I needed to do to focus on myself. It was very awkward at first, even though I have a personality. To learn to function without doing it, it was hard. And then I got out there and I just started I started a bartending job when I got sober. And for some reason that really helped me because it wasn't like a nightclub or anything. Yeah, I did get into that later, but being around it and learning to like just discipline myself. And I just told myself it was poison to me because unfortunately for me it is. I can't drink a few. To see someone drink a few drinks and stop, like I'm like, how? That's like me eating one donut and stopping, like not happening. But I've learned how to do that now. But it's just was I immediately felt better. Like I immediately felt physically, emotionally, mentally better. I felt like myself again. And then I did start working in nightclubs and stuff. And the best part was I forced myself to continue to do the things I loved, even though I had to be around alcohol. I could hang out with people, be the sober driver, go out and dance. Because when you're in your 20s, that's what you do. You know, you go out and you have fun with your friends. I wanted to be able to go to concerts around alcohol and not have to close off all the things that I love and completely change myself because being social and dancing and doing all those fun things were important to me at that time. So I did it. And then come along having kids, it's like there was no way I would go back because I just can't, I would not be alive. I mean, that's how real it was for me if I didn't stop. And then every year as I have a sobriety date, it's just, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's like you just reflect back. You go, oh my gosh, look how much I've accomplished. Look how much I've done. Look how happy I am. And every year it gets better and better. And all that is because I'm sober. So that's like my platform I always go back to is just reflecting. And I mean, it's a way of life now. I don't think about it. Do I get stressed? Do I struggle? Absolutely. I recently had an epiphany. It's like everyone has not to say everyone drinks and does drugs and everything, but a lot of people have escapes. They can push down their feelings with substance or other things. And I can't. I have to do something. I have to deal with the feelings. So do I have a lot of ups and downs and feelings and anger and sadness? Yes. But I've learned to try to cope with those instead of using things to cope with those because I can't just go, oh, I had a hard day and have one drink. Like that's not unhealthy because you're just having one and you don't do it constantly. But I don't know how to do that. So it's been therapy, doing things like working out that make me happy, socializing, and the hardest part for me was learning to ask for help when I need it because I'm such a I can do it myself person. So that's my big story with the sobriety date. It's a long story. But 18 years in, like it's just a way of life. And the best part is just like the veganism and the bodybuilding, getting healthy. Like I can share this story with other people because it's a very embarrassing thing to admit when you're going through something like this, and random people, whether it's through social media or in person, I feel like I could be there for them and they don't feel judged. So I've really loved that part of it. I feel like my whole purpose on life is to make people like to share my story and help people. So I do that through fitness. I do that through veganism. I do that through my sobriety story. So it's been completely fulfilling for me in return.
I think it's beautiful. And one, I will make the case, not just for you, but for anyone. Alcohol is toxic. It is a toxin. It is not, even one drink is not good for you. Maybe it won't kill you,
Yes.
but it's not good for you. And you said embarrassing, but I'm going to challenge you to say it shows a vulnerable side of you to say, I have a problem with this. This is hard for me. This is how I've learned to deal with it. And anytime that, in my opinion, we show vulnerability, that's strength. Because if
Absolutely.
you're vulnerable and oh no, I lost my camera. I think I'm having power issues. Anyways, I'll try and get that back on. But anytime that you show vulnerability, I believe just really shows how strong you are, because a lot of people do cover that up and wouldn't be willing to be open and honest about that. There we go. I'm back. And I think for you, like, even on your own journey, you said that when you were younger, you didn't have that support. Even if you had reached out for it, you might not have been able to give it or receive it. But now with your platform and for your kids and for random people on Instagram, you're able to be that support that wasn't there for you. So
And
I think that's
that's
really
a
special.
key factor I've learned through going through therapy is when people have things they go through, trauma, if you will, they want to give people what they never got. So that is a huge thing that I absolutely feel fulfilled when I do. And that's a big reason why I like training and just being there for people. It's my favorite thing.
I love that. That's really inspiring. I am admittedly a big pot smoker. I'm a big pothead, and I've never really been into drinking, just because it just makes you feel like crap, the next day. So I just have never, that's never really been my vice. But really, like you said, it's like when I really think about it, most of the time when I'm smoking, it's mostly because I'm escaping some sort of anxiety most of the time. Especially like at the end of the day, I get done with work and I always just feel like I can't shut my brain off, and that's just a way to kind of like slow my brain down. But even marijuana, as safe as it is, I've really wanted to lately cut back and eventually stop. But I struggle with that. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my emotions?
Well, I
I'm
can
just gonna...
help you, and I would love to help you.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm very open with my story. I have complex PTSD. I don't think I've actually ever shared that on a podcast or with people on a platform, because of things I've gone through in my life. So I obviously struggle with anxiety. I'm
Yeah.
super fight or flight vigilant. I'm very jumpy. So that's a lot of things I've been really working on through EMDR therapy. It's trauma therapy. So a few things that have helped me instead of reaching for something like the pot. I would never see myself doing meditation. I'm not a relaxed person.
Yeah.
It would be hard for me to do yoga because I'm just I have ADHD too. But the meditation, just 10-15 minutes, has really helped my gut health too. A specific meditation and program I do, and I look forward to it now. It calms me before bed because I don't know about you, but I'm an overthinker before bed.
Oh yeah.
I've even struggled with panic attacks in the past year, but I never even knew I had anxiety or PTSD. But meditation has been huge for me. Like I said, it's helped my gut, it's helped my nervous system, it's helped my anxiety. But I still struggle with it now and then. But I would say meditation and then forcing myself, it sounds so stupid, but get out in the sun and like do my cardio, and even if in a mental walk, even if it's not for cardio, instead of going, okay, I'll just hit the elliptical or spin class, it just really clears your mind. Whatever works for you, but it's always better to try to find something that long term will help you, whether it's therapy, meditation, walks. It sounds so stupid and simple, but like stress is real, anxiety is real. Whatever you're dealing with, there is a healthy way to deal with it. And there's nothing wrong that you've been reaching for something the wrong way. You just need to teach yourself to reach for the healthy things.
Here's the final clip from Brooke and John's top 10 fitness tips for vegans episode. One last tip to keep you strong and consistent. Let's dive in.
Okay, so I said slow and steady wins the race. And what I mean is a lot of people go like balls to the wall when they start a fitness journey, like total newbies, right? Like they're like, oh, I'm going to get in shape. Or maybe not even newbies, maybe somebody who was into it, but then they got out of it. And then people think, oh, I'm like, kind of like you were like, I'm going to work out twice a day. I'm going to eat 1,200 calories. I'm going to cut out my salt. I'm going to do all the things, and like, that's not sustainable. So I think people are so focused on like getting that 10 pounds off or getting that 20 pounds off. They don't think about like, this is a lifestyle. So, okay, you get that 20 pounds off. Then what? you can't just go back to what you were doing because you're going to gain it all back. Like your body adapts. So like you have to create a healthy lifestyle for yourself. And it's also like it's not just about losing weight. Like it's also about just being healthy. So doing those like healthy habits, like getting your steps in, making healthier choices, picking whole foods, getting your protein in, that's going to set you up for success long term. So like if you're starting out with your fitness journey, don't do too much too quickly. Like if you're already struggling with eating healthy, if it's already hard for you to get yourself to the gym, like don't go crazy trying to do a million things at once. Like take it slow. Like do 4 workouts a week, do 3 workouts a week. If you're not used to doing workouts and it's like overwhelming to you, do 3 workouts a week, see how you do, then add 4. Eat a sustainable amount of food. That's the other thing is like I have to explain this to my clients. Like sometimes they'll sign up with me and I'll give them their meal plan and they'll be like 1,800 calories. Like, oh my God, that's so much food. Like I'm not used to eating that. Like I feel like I'm going to gain weight. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. We have a 5-month program, right? Like if I started you out on 1,200 calories, like where could we go from there? We still have 5 months to work together. So like you hit a plateau, your body adapts. We don't have anywhere to go. So like we're not going to go ahead and start out with an hour of cardio and 1,200 calories. Like no, boo. Like we're going to take what we can out of this amount of food, the most amount of food possible, the least amount of cardio. Your body adapts, and then all right, let's sprinkle a little bit more cardio in. Let's taper food down a little bit. Your body adapts. We have runway. Like we have a lot of runway here that we can move along, and people forget about that too. So they hit a wall and then it's like they just give up because they're already doing so much and then it's not working. So like why do anything, you know? So give yourself time, you know, slow and steady wins the race. The tortoise won the race, not the rabbit. So take it slow, make it sustainable. Don't do crazy stuff. Don't do crazy fad diets.
I agree. I think the larger viewpoint is like build those habits. It's easy to lose 20 pounds. You know, if you were dedicated enough, you could probably do that depending upon how much you start at in like a week or two. Like just by not eating and drinking, you're going to lose 20 pounds. Well, that's not sustainable and it's not helping you build the right habits to have the body that you want to have. So definitely slow and steady. I also think I'm going to add for anybody that's an athlete or like prior military, prior high level, like collegiate or high school athlete that's taken some time off, this also applies to you because you've put in the years to have that mental toughness, but your body ain't what it was. And so the people that are most likely to get like rhabdomyolysis, aka rhabdo, from training way too hard and way too intense are people that have that mental toughness, but their body's just not ready for it yet. So instead of you going all out your first week back, if you've taken some time off, start a little lighter or do a few less reps than you think you can, and then build off of it from there. Like you could probably make progress with lighter weights for a longer period of time and still make gains. Like just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, I don't want to say that you shouldn't push yourself, but you should work back into it. I've just seen that. I've seen that with a few like high level, especially like prior military, because they just have a different mindset and they'll kill themselves when they come back and then they'll be out of commission because they get hurt or something.
That is so true. And I didn't even think about that direction. But yes, I knew a girl that I competed with and she took a very long off season, but like she wasn't really even training. Like she wasn't like eating the same. Like I think she was just totally over bodybuilding and competing. And so she just wanted to be like a normal person for a while. But then like all of a sudden she was like, you know, 30 pounds heavier and then like wanted to get all her weight off. So she just started going like balls to the wall, like hour on the Stairmaster, like 2 workouts a day again. And she got rhabdo. She's in the hospital. And I was like, are you okay? And she was like, no, like my kidneys, like I'm having so many issues. And, you know, I was trying to do like 300 burpees and like all this stuff. So it's like you said, like mentally, like you're there and you know what it takes because you've done it before. So you're just like, oh, I'll just do what I did last time. Like, no problem. But your body's like, whoa, this ain't what we're used to. Like, what is going on here?
How did she end up? Did she do okay? Or
Yeah, she seems to be okay now. I mean, she made it out. She said that she was cleared to start exercising again. And she is just taking it slower, like doing a lot of walking. And then, just doing weight resistance training a few days a week. And she seems to be okay now, and she's lost a few pounds. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
would have been better if she just started slow from the beginning.
I know.
I think a lot of people don't have the long term in mind. Moving right along, number 5, establishing a morning routine. I think that I like unintentionally have done this for many years. um, but now I'm a bit more intentional with my morning routine. That includes brushing my teeth, getting my supplements together, doing my weigh-ins. But also, I've realized if I do it first thing in the morning, I don't forget to do it later. So like right now I've been working on my stomach vacuums, doing some stretching for my hip adductor because I should stretch, but I never do. But I've plugged it in with my morning routine. It takes like 10 minutes and I nail it probably 5, 6 days a week, some days, some weeks 7. And I've made a lot of progress, both with the vacuums and the hip adductor. And then after that, I usually go do morning cardio and I start working on my clients. So I get back to them in a timely manner. But whatever like you really, really need to work on, if it's journaling, meditation, yoga, stretching, I'd say do that in the morning. Make sure that it gets done. Because there's really no excuse. I would always say I'll stretch at the gym after I train. And then I'm either running late or I just forget, or I'm lazy and it doesn't happen. So I've now moved it to the morning, and it happens a very high percentage of the time.
I love that. I think a major life hack in general is identifying your weaknesses and remedying them, like figuring out how you're going to overcome them. That's something not a lot of people do, but man, will it upgrade your life. I mean, seriously. And that's kind of where it comes into, people compare themselves to other people. You should be comparing yourself to other people. You should be comparing yourself to yourself. Like, what is it that's holding you back? And yeah, identify those weaknesses and put those into your morning routine. I know for me, I have like really been working on my stress and anxiety lately, because I do feel like I've just like been, I mean, I have recognized like I'm more of a high strung person. But I'm like, this is holding me back. Like it interfered with my gut health, like my thyroid health, my hormone health. I mean, truly, I feel like stress is like the root of all evil. So I'm like, life isn't going to change. Like, life is always going to be stressful. I chose the entrepreneur life. Like, it is what it is. So I have to change. I have to change my response. I need to be in a situation where when something comes up with a client or something happens on social media or something doesn't go the way I want it to, like I can control my thoughts. So identifying that weakness helped me set up my morning routine. So like as much as I didn't want to, and I've talked about it on this podcast so many times, like meditating, I'm doing meditation now, like at least 5 minutes. Sometimes I do 10 minutes. Mostly breath work. I'll call it breath work instead of meditating because that's really what it is. And then I'll do my morning gratitudes, I'll do my journaling, and I'll do my affirmations, and I'll set 3 goals for the day. And I mean, probably for a week, at least in a row, my goal for the day was manage my emotions, control my emotions, manage my stress. Like my stress is not going to get the best of me. And truly, like, and I would just write every day too, like, stressing about it isn't going to change anything. It doesn't make anything better. So realizing that and like just affirming that to myself every single day to where it's like, it's just a part of my routine was so helpful for me. And I know a lot of people struggle with that, but like whatever it is, like even if it's something like, yeah, like your mobility sucks and like you need to stretch every morning, like get up and do it. Like having a morning routine is so important just to be a better person, start your day off on the right foot. And like you said, otherwise you're going to forget. Things will come up during the day and you're like, oh, well, I was in traffic and this happened, so I can't do my vacuums or my stretching or my journaling, whatever. Like do it when you get up. No excuses.
I agree. I think it does set you up for like a positive mental note. Like, hey, I did some good things for myself. I already checked those boxes, and now I can go do other things that I need to do.
Yeah, love it.
All right, everyone, we are back. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still listening, give yourself a pat on the back right now. I'm serious. Stop what you're doing and like literally pat yourself on the back. And we thank you. Brooke and I thank you. We couldn't do this without you. There'd be no point in doing this. Well, actually, I love hanging out with Brooke. Brooke and I would probably be doing this anyways. But you know, if you guys want to see season 5, and trust me, you want to see season 5, let us know. Give us a 5-star rating or review on whatever episode listener you have for this. Share this with your friends and family. Put it out there. Like this is our literal love, blood, sweat, and tears that we've put into these episodes. And if you guys can help us share it and help us grow it, we're gonna keep coming back for more. I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let Brooke handle a little bit as well.
Yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed some of our favorite moments from the podcast. We would love to hear what your favorite moments were. If we left anything out that we should have put in, make sure that you comment, let us know. And thank you guys so much for supporting our podcast. We even had a few of you share on your stories that we were in your top 5 podcasts, and that was just freaking awesome. So thank you everyone who has supported us. It's been so much fun. And season 5, we are bringing on some awesome guests. We now have John as part of the Veg Nutrition family. So we are going to be bringing on some awesome athletes, people that you guys know and love. So make sure that you stick around for season 5 in 2025.
Season 5 in 2025. That makes sense, and it rhymes. We've got some special things in store, guys. Some things that we are not at liberty to discuss yet, but we'll be here very soon. And I do want to give a huge shout out to both Sean Russell, our producer, and Vegans Explore for making this podcast possible. Brooke and I were planning to do this on our own without any help, and that would have been great, but not quite as freaking awesome as the Vegans Who Live podcast has become. And if you guys want to head over to vegansexplore.com, look for the podcast on there. You guys can register there. You can give us a shout out. You can give a live question that we can answer live on the podcast, and stay further in touch with you, because we're here to build a community, not just Brooke and I hearing ourselves talk. As wonderful that is, I'd probably do it all day anyways, but you can be a part of this. You can help us grow. So vegansexplore.com is where you want to hang out. And wow, Brooke, 4 seasons 4 seasons down. I think that's a hotel chain, 4 seasons, but next year, 2025, 5th season coming your way. So I think that's all I got. I'm going to shut up because I talk way too much.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in 2025.
Woot, woot. Notice she said, yeah. She didn't even argue. I do talk too much. All right, we're out. We'll see y'all next year.